Hey guys, what is going on? This is car number 5, and today I'm going to do a roster prediction. And how I do my roster predictions is I do them in 2-week windows. For one, I kind of started doing this for my Twitch subs, give them every 2 weeks. I decided to go ahead and release this video a couple days after I give them the notes, so they still have an advantage seeing the notes. And if you guys are interested in doing that, you just have to do a $4.99 sub on Twitch. Otherwise, you guys will still see my updates. Predictions, but it won't be until usually probably Thursday morning. So anyways, this will be my first prediction video in a while. Basically, what I do look at a 3-year average, but I put a lot more weight into this year. I'll tell you guys real quick kind of what I base my predictions off of. For power, I look at ISO a lot because I know that's what they use. Contact, I use average a lot, even though I don't necessarily agree that should be the one determining factor. And then plate discipline and plate vision, pretty much just look at their walk rate and their strikeout rate. So it's pretty simple. Let's just go ahead and get right to it. We're going to start with catchers. Alright, so for the first catcher I want to talk about, this is a potential downgrade. Honestly though, I'm going to give him a +0. I think his plate discipline needs to go down quite a bit. But I also still think he could use a small power boost and contact. I really don't think they'll touch this card, to be honest, and even if they do, I don't really think he deserves a downgrade, but it's pretty close. It's borderline. It really just depends, especially if they don't touch his discipline. I'm going to give him a 20% chance of going silver. So what I'll pretty much do for each card is I'll kind of give it a percentage. First I'll say what I think it should be, based off what SDS usually does in their 3-year average, and then I'll kind of give it a percentage, which will include other factors, such as if they have other cards, if they'll even look at this card. Sometimes a team they'll play on also could be an impact as well, and I'll talk about all of that as we move on. The next catcher I want to talk about is Yadier Molina. This is kind of an interesting card. He's having a weird year. They haven't touched this card in a while. His plate discipline and plate vision needs to go down. His contact versus righties even needs to go down, but his contact versus lefties needs a small upgrade. He also needs a small power boost. He has 10 home runs on the year. With a decent ISO, not a great ISO, but I think it warrants a little bit higher than 36 and 34 power. He also has a couple stolen bases, 6 stolen bases. I don't know, 10 speed and 7 stealing. There's like no way to steal in the game with that. I doubt they touch that though. But that being said, I give this card a 45% chance of going gold. Again, that's within the next 2 weeks. I'm gonna give Salvador Perez a +2. This card hasn't been upgraded since June 23rd. I think he deserves an increase in both powers, especially versus lefties. He has a 239 or 228 ISO versus lefties and a 239 ISO versus righties. So he's showing power versus both sides. I think that warrants a little bit higher than 65 and 70 power. He could also use an increase in both contact versus righties and lefties. Versus righties, he's hitting 287, and versus lefties, he's hitting 267. So it's a 49 contact right now. I really think this card should be close to a borderline diamond, but I think they'll be really, really conservative, so I'm just going to give him the +2 and a 5% chance of going diamond within the next few weeks. And the last catcher we're going to look at is Willson Contreras. He recently got an update on July 13th. I know there's some talk with a Player of the Month card coming for him, possibly, not sure. I think he deserves an increase in both power. A small increase in contact versus lefties. In my opinion, he deserves a higher arm strength attribute as well. I think the other day he threw a pitch down to, or a throw down to second. It was clocked like I think at 90 miles an hour, which was like the highest of that year. And I think anybody that watches Contreras understands how good of an arm he does have. So I think that could be a little bit higher than 84. Again, I don't know if they'll touch that. I'm going to give him a 55% chance of going gold within the 2 weeks. And I personally am going to give him a +2. Alright, moving on to first baseman, and the first card we're going to look at is Justin Bour. I'm going to give Justin Bour a +2. He was last updated June 9th, so it has been a while. He made the Home Run Derby. He's having a pretty decent year. I think he deserves an increase to both contact versus lefty and righty. Versus lefties, he's hitting 328 on the year. I think he could use a decrease in power versus righty. I think that's a little bit too high. But I will say that he deserves an increase in power versus lefties. He has a 313 ISO. I'm going to give him a 60% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. I like his chances. And by the way, guys, if you don't know what ISO is, it's pretty much slugging, or it's average subtracted by slugging. So if somebody hits for a real high average, it can be kind of misleading. to what, how much power they actually have. So that's what ISO is. And I've talked to the developers, and that's pretty much what they use to make changes in power. So that's mainly what we're going to use most of the time for power. Anyways, Justin Bour, give him a +2 and a 60% chance of gold. Another card I want to talk about is Cody Bellinger. They gave him an update on July 13th, mainly just increasing his fielding. Personally, I think he deserves a small contact versus lefties. It's getting in that 250 range, although it's, they don't have to touch that. It's kind of nitpicky. But I do think he deserves a small upgrade to contact versus righties if they do decide to touch that. But basically, Bellinger still needs a small power increase, in my opinion. He has a 295 ISO versus lefty and a 371 ISO versus righty, which is amazing. That's up there close to like Stanton and Judge. Also, he has very good plate discipline this year, so they could upgrade that a little bit as well. I'm going to give him a 45% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. And if I don't already say so, I'm going to give Cody Bellinger a +2. This is a card that's probably been on a lot of people's radar in the last few weeks, probably longer than that, probably the last month. I'm going to give Eric Hosmer a +2. He was last updated, I believe, June 23rd. But I think he deserves a contact increase to both, especially versus lefties, though he only has 64 contact versus lefties, and he's hitting 311 versus lefties this year. I'm going to give him a 50% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. I thought he deserved it here for a while, but they just have not given him the update just quite yet. And he needs 13 contact clicks for an upgrade, so I mean that's a lot. I still think he could use a small upgrade versus righties, but I mean that's still kind of a lot of contact, and I'm kind of 50-50 on whether or not he'll get that upgrade. Marwin Gonzalez is also having a really solid year. I'm going to give him a +2. He was last updated on June 23rd. He deserves a huge increase in plate discipline. He has a 10.5 walk rate, which is very good. That's up there with the elite. He also deserves an increase to contact versus righties. He's hitting 342 on the year versus righties, and I think he deserves a small increase to both of his power. He has a 278 ISO versus righties. I'm going to give him a 30% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. I really don't think that this card is on STS's radar, even though Houston's having a really solid year, and I still think he just needs a little bit more work, especially since his previous 2 years have not been that great. Freddie Freeman, I'm going to give a +2. He was last updated on April 28th, but he did get a secondary position added, so I don't know if they'll change that to the primary. It won't affect much if they do change his primary to third base, but I just want to tell you guys I do think he deserves a small upgrade. I'm going to say +2 again. I think he deserves an increase to both contact. He's hitting 347 on the year versus righties. He's also deserves a power increase to both righty and lefty. He has a 394 ISO versus righties and a 264 ISO versus lefties, which that should be higher than 69. 264 should probably be in the mid to high 70s. Definitely deserves at least a look at and potential upgrade. Justin Smoke was recently upgraded on July 13th. I still think he warrants some upgrades. Give him a small upgrade to plate vision and plate discipline. He needs a huge increase to contact versus lefties. He's hitting 401 on the year versus lefties. And increase to both of his power. He has a 293 ISO on the year for his overall power. I don't think it's enough to get a gold within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to give him a 10% chance, an outside chance. But I do think he has a shot at gold in the long term, so this is definitely a good investment. So get your Justin Smokes while you can right now. And our last first baseman is going to be Trey Mancini of the Baltimore Orioles. I'm going to give him a +1. I know a lot of people were expecting a lot more from him. He is off to a good start with Baltimore. Give him an increase in plate vision, an increase in contact versus righties, hitting 328 on the year versus righties. I think his contact versus lefties is a little bit too high, so he could use a small decrease there. Also increases power versus righties and decreases power versus lefties. He's kind of a reverse splits guy, it's looking like. I'm going to give him a 5% chance of silver within the next 2 weeks. He just needs a lot more time. All right, moving on to second base now. No one's really been talking about Altuve, and he, in my opinion, this card should be a 99. It's no question, especially if you look at the last 2 years. He hasn't been touched all year. I still think he deserves a small increase to contact. I mean, his contact's almost maxed out, but I still think you could do better. He's hitting 350 plus, and I think 350 plus, that's getting in the realm of 97 to 99 overall. Altuve also has pretty decent power, and I think last year he hit 25 home runs. This year, I don't know his home run total. I think it might be like 15, but his ISO is 200 plus for his both, and that 200 plus, I mean, that should at least be 60 plus. But I really just think they should give him like +5, +6 to both of his power ratings. If they do that, he should become a 99. He could also use a small increase to plate discipline. He's starting to work some more walks. He's got almost a 10% walk rate. He is striking out a little bit more because he is hitting for more power and taking more pitches, so he may be a small decrease to plate vision. Regardless, this card should be a 99 based on the last 2 seasons alone. So I think this card needs to be touched. I don't know if it will or when it will, but definitely keep an eye on this card. I'm going to give Jonathan Schoop a +3, and I think that's kind of ballsy. He last got updated on June 23rd. If you want to be conservative, you could say +2. I'll give you the percentage here at the end, but I think he deserves an increase to all hitting. He's hitting 311 versus righties on the year. He's nearly hit 300 versus righties in the last 3 seasons alone, so I think that's should be a lot higher than 68 contact. He also has a 296 ISO versus left and a 225 ISO versus right, so he deserves some power increases as well. I think he deserves gold for sure right now. Again, I just don't know how conservative SDS will be. I'm going to give him a 35% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. This is also a pretty good long-term investment at the worst, so if you do get you some Jonathan Scoops, maybe, you know, a month from now he will go gold. Now, being a Cardinal fan, I still don't know why they have this card at second base. He's a third baseman, and this kind of hurts Jerko in my opinion. You move him back to third. At second base, you know, he doesn't really have the credentials that, you know, the second basemen usually have in the game. They put a lot of weight in like fielding and stealing and speed. He doesn't have a lot of that. But basically, I'm going to say no change to Jerko. Well, a +0 to Jerko. I think he deserves an increase to both contact. He's hitting 301 versus lefties this year. I think his power versus righties is a little bit overrated. I mean, he really had a good year last year against righties, but this year it's kind of the opposite. He's hitting for more power against lefties, has a 233 ISO versus lefties, and his primary position needs to be changed at third base. He's also been pretty solid defensively at third, but I think he's going to stay at an 82, or maybe he'll even go down to 81, so I don't see this card going gold. Give it a 5% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. Scooter Gennett, I believe, has 18 home runs on the year. He last got updated June 2nd, and we all remember that 4 home run game that he has. I think he deserves a +1 overall. Increase to contact versus righties. He's hitting 338 on the year versus righties, and versus righties as far as ISO goes. He's a 328 ISO, which is insane. You know, so give him a nice little boost to power versus righties as well. I'm going to give him a +1 overall, though. I don't see this card going gold. And our last second baseman is going to be Whit Merrifield. Go ahead and give him a +2, make him a silver. He last got updated on June 2nd. So far, he is 16 out of 17 for stolen bases in the year, so I think that warrants at least a small increase in the stealing attribute. He also deserves a huge increase to contact versus righties, hitting 290 versus both sides, actually. And he also could increase his power versus lefties. He has a 247 ISO, so I think that should be a little bit higher than 55. Give him a 65% chance of silver within the next 2 weeks. The Royals are also playing pretty well, so maybe he will get more attention. All right, Corey Seager. I'm going to say +0, but a lot needs to be changed about Corey Seager. I just don't know if they'll do it. Basically, Corey Seager has been kind of a reverse splits type of guy this year, and he's also drawing a lot more walks. Like, he's having a very, very solid season. I just don't really think he deserves a 98 contact versus righties. But like I said, he does deserve a huge increase in plate discipline. He has a 13.1% walk rate, which is amazing. That's one of the best in the league. I also think he deserves a small decrease in plate vision, decrease in contact versus righties. He's hitting 287 on the year versus righties. Like 98 contact, that's what Altuve should have, not Corey Seager. I don't think he really deserves that, but he does deserve an increase in contact versus lefties and power versus lefties. Contact versus lefties, he's hitting 306 on the year versus lefties, and he has a 231 ISO. So I think that should be a little bit higher than 63. That should be like high 60s, low 70s. And he also could use a slight small decrease in power versus righties. I don't see this card getting downgraded or upgraded. If they look at it, those are the changes that should be made, and he'll still say a diamond. He'll just be a little bit different of a card. I'm going to give Elvis Andrus a +1. He last got updated June 9th now. He's hitting for a little bit more power this year, but still, it's kind of misleading because you can't just look at home run total, and you can't just look at slugging percentage either. But basically, Andrus deserves a small decrease in plate vision. He's striking out a little bit more. Like I said, trying to hit for a little bit more power this year. You could increase his contact versus righties, hitting 297 on the year. However, he deserves a decrease in contact versus lefties, hitting 256. You could also increase his power versus righties just a little bit, a 173 ISO. I think that should be a little bit higher than 45. That should probably be like, you know, in the maybe low 50s. I'm going to give him a 30% chance of gold, although I think he deserves the +1. I'm not entirely confident if SDS will give him the power upgrade that he deserves. due to his track record. Again, we have to remember the last 2 years, he really hasn't been hitting for much power. So I personally think he deserves a +1, but I'm only going to give it a 30% chance. I'm not entirely confident. This is a card I think will stay diamond. I'm going to give him a -1, and this is Manny Machado. It's going to be very, very difficult for Machado to go gold, in my opinion. He's going to have to drop his contact all the way down in the 50s, and I don't really see that happening. Maybe it will, but for now I'm going to give him a -1. He's hitting 235 on the year, so I think he deserves a downgrade in both of his contacts. I also think his power versus righties is a little overrated. 84 is a little high for 187 ISO on the year. You could increase his power versus lefties, however, it's a 214 ISO. I think that should be a little bit higher. And also a small increase in plate discipline, 9.4% walk rate on the year, so -1 overall. I still see him saying diamond though. I'm going to give Jose Ramirez a +1. He last got updated a few weeks ago, July 13th. I think he deserves an increase in contact versus righties. He's hitting 330 on the year versus righties, so I think you could give him, maybe a +1, +2 there. Increase in power versus righties. He has a 279 ISO versus righties, so I think that should, get maybe 4 to 5 clicks. And this card, honestly, it's only 7 clicks away from a diamond. So, he's really closer to an 89 than he is an 88. And I honestly think he deserves diamond, but I think they'll be pretty conservative with this card. I'm going to give him a 35% chance of going diamond within the next 2 weeks, but I'm only going to give him a +1 for right now. Moustakas, I'm going to give him a +1, make him a gold. He last got updated June 9th. His plate discipline and plate vision need to be decreased. However, his contact for lefties could go up a little bit. 46 is pretty low. He's hitting 253 on the year. I think if they look at this card, they have to give him, maybe a +3, +4 to contact for lefties. 46 is awful. I mean, that's under 250 in my opinion. And he's also hit lefties around 270-ish the last 3 years. Again, I don't think that warrants a 46 contact, even though they're putting them, most of the weight into this year. Power increase versus both, I'm going to say 263 ISO versus lefties and a 302 ISO versus righties. So definitely needs a lot more power versus lefties. I'm going to give this card a 70% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. He's been deserving for a while, and I'm pretty confident he will get gold. I know Anthony Rendon just got upgraded, but I want you guys to keep an eye on him. For right now, I think he deserves a +2. I think he deserves an increase in both contact. He's hitting nearly 400 on the year versus lefties. I know he has 89 contact versus lefties. I think that could be a little bit higher though. An increase in power versus lefties as well. He has nearly a 400 ISO. A 400 ISO would be like a 99. If the guy played for 3 years, obviously he's probably not going to keep it up, but I still think he deserves maybe 4 to 5 clicks in the power versus lefty attribute. He's also leading the National League in WAR. Not that I think that should be something SDS looks at, but WAR shows you that he's doing a lot of things right. So I think he deserves diamond. It might take more than a few weeks, but this card should be getting some recognition. He's on the Nationals. But for right now, I'm going to give him a 35% chance of diamond. I just think SDS is going to be very, very conservative with the next 2 weeks, kind of like they were with Justin Turner. It might be more of a month, but I'm telling you guys, you want to probably invest now. So yeah, I'm going to give him a +2, but I only have a 35% confident rating that he will get diamond. All right, Nunez, I'm going to give him a +1. He hasn't been touched all year. Plate vision could deserve an increase. He has a 9.2 K rate, which is really solid. Contact versus lefties could also use a moderate upgrade. He has a 299 average versus lefties, so I think that deserves to be a little bit higher than 60. Although I don't think this card really has any chance of going gold. I'd give it like a 1% chance. Just a card that could potentially be upgraded. And a lot of you guys asked about Jake Lamb. I'm going to say no change. He was last upgraded on June 9th. His plate vision and plate discipline could use some upgrades. Honestly though, even though he's hitting has 42 contact versus lefties, he's hitting 136 on the year versus lefties, and he plays a lot versus lefties. He does have a few home runs. So honestly, contact versus lefties could go down a little bit. 136 is awful. That should be, probably in the 30s range. You could give him a small increase in contact versus righties, but I don't really see them touching this card much, and if they do, I think it'll be a +0. Marcell Ozuna, I'm going to give him a +1. To be honest, this card has deserved diamond like the last month. I just don't know if they're being really, really conservative like they were with Justin Turner. So I'm going to be really surprised if this card does not get a +1 and become diamond. He was last upgraded on June 23rd, so it's going to be over a month. He needs an increase in plate discipline. He needs a contact versus lefty increase. He's hitting 338 on the year, and he has about a 320 average, in the last 3 years. So I think that warrants a little bit better than an 85 rating. Also, he could use a small contact versus righties increase. He's hitting 309 versus contact, versus righties, so I think that should be a little bit better than 73. Also a small increase in power versus righties, a 266 ISO. I mean, that's pretty much fine, but that could use maybe a small increase. Basically what I'm saying is there's nothing that should go down and everything should pretty much go up for Azuna. I'm going to give him a 55% chance at Diamond within the next 2 weeks. I'm pretty confident. I just don't know why SDS has not done so yet. Alright, and a lot of you guys asked me to look over Adam Duvall. I don't think he deserves any change at all. The only thing I think that should be changed about this card is swap power versus righty and power versus lefty, and he's fine. I see him staying silver. I don't see him going gold. Alright, we're going to move on to center fielders, starting with Charlie Blackmon. He was last updated June 2nd. I think he deserves a contact versus lefty increase, similar to Corey Seager. I also think he could use a small contact versus righties decrease, although 96 it's justified. He hits, he's hit righties really well, a lot better than Seager has the last 3 years, really. He could also use a plate discipline increase, a plate vision decrease, starting to be a little more patient, trying to hit home runs, get on base. And he could also use a nice power versus lefty increase. He has a 261 ISO versus lefties, so I think that should be at least +4 to +5 clicks power versus lefties. The thing about this card though, again, I'm gonna give him a +1. He's a lot of clicks away from making Diamond, a lot. So it's going to take a lot for him to go Diamond. I'm only going to give him a 20% chance of going Diamond within the next 2 weeks, but definitely a card you guys want to keep your eye on. George Springer last got updated July 13th. Honestly, they probably won't even really look at this card and mess with it. But I'm going to give him a +1. I still think he deserves a small upgrade. I just don't see him going Diamond. He deserves a plate discipline downgrade, a plate vision upgrade, contact upgrade for both righty and lefties. He's hitting 351 on the year versus lefties. I think that could go up a little bit more. I know it's already at 84, but 351, like I said, that's close to 99. At least give him, maybe 3 to 4 clicks there. This card, similar to Blackmon, is a lot of clicks away from Diamond, so I'm only going to give him a 10% chance of going Diamond within the next 2 weeks. Another center fielder we want to look at is Inciarte. I'm going to give him a +1. He last got updated June 30th. Plate vision decrease. I'm going to give him a contact versus lefty upgrade. He's hitting 330 versus lefties on the year. Small contact versus righties upgrade, maybe 1 or 2 clicks, and a very small power boost. I don't really know if he's 37-32 is pretty low, and he has a decent ISO on the year, so I'm just going to give him a +1 and a 45% chance of going gold. Lorenzo Cain, I'm going to give him a -2. He last got updated June 23rd. I think he deserves maybe small plate vision and plate discipline upgrades. However, he needs a huge contact versus lefty downgrade. He's hitting 191 on the year versus lefties, and he has 91 contacts, so that needs to at least go down by 10, if not more. You could increase his contact versus righties though, 82 contact, and he's hitting 294 on the year, so maybe that could go up 4 to 5 points. And I think he deserves a slight power downgrade against both, 145 ISO. That's pretty nitpicky though, but I'm going to say a -2 overall for this card. I think he'll stay gold though for the time being. Tommy Pham, I'm going to give a +3. He last got upgraded July 13th. I still think he deserves an increase in contact and power versus lefties. He has a 321 ISO versus lefties. I also personally think he could use a small fielding, speed, and stealing. He does have some decent stealing numbers, and I think he should be faster than 70 speed, but maybe I'm just being biased there. I don't know, but I'm just going to say +3. I'm going to give him a 5% chance at silver within the next 2 weeks, but definitely a card you want to keep an eye on, and it might be a good long-term investment. I don't see him really going gold for the year, but I think silver he definitely has a shot at. All right, moving on to right fielders, we're going to start with Giancarlo Stanton. He has not been touched all year. I'm going to give him a +1. I don't think he deserves to go Diamond. Plate vision, I think, deserves a small increase, though. 34 is really, really low. He's actually putting the ball in play a lot more this year. But I do think he could use a small contact versus lefties decrease. Like I said, if they really want to look at this card, his contact versus righties could go up a little bit, so that kind of equals out. But his power is, almost maxed out already. I think it's fine. And this card, again, similar to Springer and Blackmon, they're a lot of clicks away from Diamond, and his power is nearly maxed out. I'm going to give him a 10% chance of Diamond within the next 2 weeks. All right, I know a lot of people were talking about Aaron Judge going Diamond. I know he's cooled off a little bit. I mean, there for a while, he had like a 450 BABIP. I'm going to give him a +1, though. He last got updated June 23rd. His discipline, honestly, should be maxed out at this point. He has a 17.1% walk rate, which I'm pretty sure that leads the majors. He could also use an increase to contact versus righties. I think his contact versus lefties is fair, but he's hitting 318 versus righties. I mean, this is basically the first year he's played too, so I don't really know why that's still at his 69. The thing that I can justify, people might say that he's getting lucky. His BABIP is still like 350. But the thing about Judge is, even though he strikes out a lot, he averages one of the highest exit velos and hard hit ball percentages. So when he puts the ball in play, it's almost always put in play, very hard. The thing is, though, he's a lot of clicks away from diamond, 87 overall. I think the key factor might be, though, if they decide to look at something like arm strength, which I personally think, from seeing some highlights of Judge, I don't watch him on an everyday basis like Yankees fans may have or might have. So I don't know, but I think if they give him an arm strength upgrade, this might be able to get him diamond this year. But for right now, I don't see him going diamond. I'm just going to give him a 10% chance of diamond, an outside shot. It really depends if they decide to look at his fielding or not. Jay Bruce, I'm going to give a +1. He last got updated May 5th, so it's been a while. I really just think he could use a small contact upgrade versus both righties and lefties. But versus righties, he is hitting 280, so I think that should go a little bit higher, and I think that would get him to a silver pretty easily. And I'm going to give Bruce a 50-50 shot of going silver. It really just depends if they decide to look at the card or not. I do think he deserves the +1 though. I'm going to give him a Cutchin a -2, and you guys are probably all wondering, like, why should he get a -2? Well, he deserves to be playing. Well, he doesn't deserve to be. He should be changed to center field. I don't know why they take so long on these position changes. He's still playing center field as far as I know. I know Marte just came back, but I'm pretty sure, they said he was still playing in center. Maybe Pirates fans can let me know. But last I checked, he was still playing center. So I don't know if they were just waiting for Marte to come back to see what the Pirates do. But if he moved in the center, he drops 3 points alone. He could also use a small contact upgrade of both. He's still hitting 313 versus lefties, so maybe 1 or 2 points there. And a power increase versus lefties. He's a 371 ISO versus lefties, so he's killing it versus lefties. So give him a small power upgrade. So it really depends if they move in the center or not. Like, there's no way this card's gonna go diamond, but I'm just saying, just be aware that this card could possibly go silver if you have some Andrew McCutchens on your team. I'm going to give him a 50-50 chance of going. A lot of people also asked me to look at Gamble. I'm going to give him a +1. He's hitting really well in the year, but basically he deserves contact upgrades, and that's really it. I know he's hitting 351 on the year versus lefties, so maybe give him 4 or 5 points, and then maybe 2 or 3 points to righties. That's still going to keep him at 78 overall. I don't see him going silver within the next 2 weeks. I'm going to give him a 2% chance of going silver within the next 2 weeks. Brad Brock is also a card a lot of you guys asked me to look at. I'm going to give him a +0. His per-9s are right on, to be honest. I don't look at ERA. I really don't even look at like FIP and XFIP or anything. But you guys, I don't know if you guys were looking at ERA or what, but his per-9s are pretty much right on. And honestly, he could be downgraded if anything. I'm not going to touch this card. If there's something I'm missing, or if he starts pitching better, sure, chance at gold. I'm going to give him a 10% chance of gold, though. I really don't see much there. Moving on to Brad Hand, I'm going to give him a +1. I think he'll stay silver. His K per 9 deserves an upgrade. He's striking out 11.65 per 9 innings this year. I'm going to give him a 10% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. Justin Wilson was another highly requested card, and I've seen this in a few videos, but I'm only going to give him a +1, and I think I'm being kind of generous there. Let me explain. His home runs per 9 and walks per 9 deserves downgrades. He's striking out, or he's walking 3.66 batters per 9 innings, so 67 is a little bit too high. 67 would be like 2.8, 2.7, somewhere in there. His hits per 9 and K per 9 does deserve an upgrade, though. He's striking out 12.58 batters per 9 innings, so give him plus 3, 4, 5, whatever you want for K per 9. Hits per 9 could also use a small boost. I'm gonna give him a 25% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. The walks per 9 and home runs per 9 is really gonna keep this card from going gold, in my opinion. Roberto Osuna, I'm going to give this card a +3. Honestly, deserves better, in my opinion. I'm +3, I'm being really conservative. He deserves upgrades in all per 9s. He's striking out 12.5 K per 9, so 12.5, that should be approaching the mid-90s. Let's give him a +3, +4 in K per 9. 0.4 home runs per 9. His home runs per 9 deserves like a +20, but even just give that a +10. He's also only walking 0.9 batters per game per 9 innings, so that could even be a small increase over 85. Like, that's really good for a reliever. Most relievers are in that 2 to 3 range. So honestly, all his per 9s could use increases, and I think this card has a really good chance of going diamond. I'm gonna say a 55% chance of going diamond within the next 2 weeks. A lot of people also asked me to look at Wade Davis. I'm gonna give him a +0. His K per 9 deserves an upgrade. He's striking out 12.7 K per 9. I guess that doesn't really make sense. Striking out 12 points. He's at 12.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. But his walks per 9 deserves a downgrade. He's walking 4.2 batters per 9 innings. Doolittle, I'm going to give a +2 and make him a gold. I'm going to give him K per 9 and hits per 9 upgrade. He's striking out 12.2 batters per 9 innings. He's only allowing 4-point hits per 9 innings as well. I'm going to give him a 50% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. Chapman, give him a -1. He deserves a downgrade of hits per 9. He is allowing 9.1 hits per 9 innings. You could also increase his walks per 9 and home runs per 9 a little bit. I think he stays diamond for the time being, a 10% chance of going gold. So it's still going to be a really good pitcher. He just might get that hits per 9 downgrade. But Tantis, I'm going to give him -1 and make him a gold. He deserves a huge downgrade of walks per 9. He's striking out 7.1 batters per 9 innings. To compensate, we could also give him a home runs per 9 increase, but his walks per 9 at least deserves a -10 clicks, and that's going to easily make him a gold. I'm going to give him a 60% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. Pat Neshek, I'm going to actually give him a +3. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think he deserves a +3. He hasn't been upgraded or looked at all year. He's striking out 10 batters per 9 innings, so his K per 9 deserves a nice little increase. It's only at 73 right now. And his home runs per 9 also deserves a nice little increase. You could give him a small downgrade to hits per 9. I think 87 might be a little too high. But I'm going to give him a +3. If you guys want to be conservative, maybe a +2. I'm going to give this card a 50-50 shot at going gold. Rosenthal's an 84 overall. I'll go ahead and give him the +1 and make him a gold. He deserves an upgrade in K per 9 in my opinion, striking out 14.1 per 9 innings. If they don't touch it, that's fine, but he's striking out more than Chapman this year, just saying. Also, he could use a hits per 9 upgrade. He's only allowing 6.8 hits per 9 innings. I'm going to give it a 50-50 shot at going gold. Greg Holland's another closer we're going to look at. I'm going to give him a +1. He last got updated on May 19th, so it's been a while. Give him a small K per 9 and hit per 9 upgrade. He's striking out 12 batters per 9 innings and only allowing 5.2 hits per 9 innings, which is elite. The problem with him is his walks, and I think that's going to keep him from going diamond. I'm going to give him a 10% chance of going diamond. I just don't see it there with his walks per 9. Tommy Kahnle is the next reliever we're going to look at. He just recently got traded to the Yankees. Honestly, I think he deserves a +4, but to be conservative, we can give him a +2, +3. I think he has a pretty good chance of going gold, though. Walks per 9 needs a huge upgrade. He's only walking 1.8 batters per 9 innings. 50 walks per 9, that's in the realm of walking, maybe 4 batters per 9 innings. So that deserves a huge increase, maybe 10 clicks at least for now. And then he also deserves a K per 9 increase. He's striking out 15.2 K per 9, and that is more than, again, I said striking out 15.2 K per 9. He's striking out 15 batters per 9 innings, again, which is more than Chapman, so I think he should overtake Chapman in that category, or at least be on par with. So give him make him a 99, in my opinion, for the K per 9. I'm going to give him a 60% chance of going gold within 2 weeks. The only thing that he could possibly use a small downgrade in is his hits per 9, but he has the credentials and the stats to back him up that he deserves to go gold. And Corey Knebel, we're going to give him a +2. I think he's going to fall short of gold. K per 9 and hits per 9 could use upgrade. He's striking out 15.7 K per 9. That's amazing. That should probably be 99, and he's only allowing 5.4 hits per 9 innings, so that could get 5 to 6 clicks as well. The thing that's going to keep him from going gold, in my opinion, is going to be his home runs per 9 and walks per 9. Well, excuse me, no, his home runs per 9 is fine, but his walks per 9 could use a decrease. He's just walking a little bit too many batters this year. I think it's 4.5 or closer to 5. I'm going to give him a 30% chance of going gold within the next. And our last reliever that we're going to look at is Archie Bradley. Go ahead and make him a silver. I think he deserves a +4, to be honest. He was last updated June 23rd. His K per 9, home runs per 9, and walks per 9 deserve upgrades. He's striking out 10.8 batters per 9 innings, only allowing 0.6 home runs per 9 innings. Give him a 70% chance of going silver within the next 2 weeks. Finally, we're going to move to starting pitchers, starting with Chris Sale. Give him a +1. I think he deserves an increase in K per 9, striking out 12.7 batters per 9 innings. He could also use a small hits per 9 increase and a huge home run per 9 increase. He's only allowing 0.7 home runs per 9 innings, so that that could use maybe 10 to 12 clicks if they give him that. Even if it's conservative, I think +1's a pretty good prediction for this card. Aaron Nola, we're going to give a +1. He is striking out 9.4 batters per 9 innings, so increases K per 9, but his walks per 9 has not been very good this year, so give him a decrease in walks per 9. Walking 2.8 batters per 9 innings, which isn't bad. It's just 77 is a little high for that. I'm going to give him a 30% chance of going gold within the next 2 weeks. And Jacob deGrom. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me about him. I'm going to say a +0 for right now. He was last updated May 12th. His K per 9 definitely deserves an increase. He's striking out 10.2 batters per 9 innings. His walks per 9, although he has been doing better with his walks, he's still walking 2.8 per 9 inning or per 9 on the season. I don't think that should be a 70 at all. His hits per 9 is pretty fair. Maybe you could give him that even 1 to 2 clicks, but I think for the most part it's pretty fair. Even if he slightly upgraded his hits per 9, he's still going to stay gold. I think he's at least 1 to 2 starts away from going diamond, and he only has one more start. Like he pitched last night, which if you guys are, I guess if you're subs, I guess I did this video on Tuesday, so he pitched Monday night. He did pretty well. So that's going to be his last start of the week, and I think for this week he's definitely going to stay gold. If he has a really good start next week, there's a good chance he could go diamond. He's also projected to start next Thursday at Coors, and that will not count towards next Friday's update. So definitely keep an eye on this guy. It's going to depend a lot on his next few starts. I'm going to give him a 35% chance of going diamond within the next 2. Corey Kluber, I'm going to give a +2. He has not been looked at or updated all year. He's striking out 12.4 batters per 9 innings. That should be a lot higher than 82. And his hits per 9 is 6.5, which should be a lot higher than 76. So give him a solid +2. James Paxton, I'm going to give it a +2. K per 9 increase. He's striking out 10.4 batters per 9 innings. His hits per 9, home runs per 9 could also use an upgrade. His walks per 9 could use a small downgrade at 2.8 walks per 9. I don't see this card going diamond or anything anytime soon, but maybe +1, +2 overall. Honestly, this card should be really close to diamond, but I'm going to be pretty conservative here. I'm only going to give him a +3. If you guys want to be even more conservative, give him a +2. Sometimes SDS takes a few weeks as well. But I think he's deserving of another upgrade. K per 9, hits per 9, home runs per 9 all deserve huge upgrades. His walks per 9 is fine for the most part. I'm going to give him 25% chance of going diamond within the next 2 weeks, but this, in my opinion, has a chance of going diamond down the road. I just don't think SDS is really going to do it within the next 2 weeks. And guys, that's going to do it for this roster prediction video. I know it's kind of lengthy. I even cut out some of the other cards, so I only tried to go over the important cards. So give me some feedback on the video if you guys could, and try to give me a lot of likes for this video. This is a lot of work doing these roster predictions, so I give props to people that do them, but it is a lot of work and a lot of research. So I appreciate you guys watching the video, and let me know if you think anyone else should be deserving of a potential upgrade or downgrade. It seems like we focus more on upgrades, but I'm sure there are a lot of downgrades I probably missed, and I probably missed some upgrades as well. You can't cover every single card, and you really can't predict what SDS is going to do at all times, but I gave it my best effort, so hopefully we'll see how some of these cards get updated. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. This is Carnal Bird 5 signing out. Peace.